Okay, so I'm going to be discussing equations of lines in this video. The earliest form most students see in their math careers is slope-intercept form, where you have y equals the slope times x plus or minus some number there, where this represents the y-coordinate of the y-intercept, and this is your slope. That's your vertical change per unit of x. Okay? Standard form, sometimes called general form in some textbooks, is this. Notice that these must be integers. Ditto for what's normally meant by general form. All right? So these three are standardized forms. Okay? They're not standard, but they're standardized. Standardized forms, slope-intercept form, standard form, and general form. This other one is used to get to the others. It's point-slope form. Y minus the y-coordinate equals m, the slope, times x minus the x-coordinate. So for example 1, I went ahead and provided a picture. You will not normally get a picture. Okay, pictures are not normal. But in this case, I decided to throw one in there. Okay, so we're going to start with slope-intercept form. So we're going to start with A, but I'm going to start with point-slope form. Okay, I'm going to take A down to avoid confusion. Okay, we're going for this, but we're going to start with this. Okay. So we're going for this, but we're starting with that. Okay, so it'll be y minus, the y-coordinate is 13, equals the slope, negative 9, x minus the x-coordinate. So I have y minus 13, distribute this as negative 9x plus 72. All I need to do is solve for y to get the slope-intercept form. So add 13, and y equals negative 9x plus 85. Okay? So that finishes A. Now, this line is dropping 9 units of y for every 1x. Okay? It's so steep that for you to be able to see anything but a vertical line, I scaled the y's by 10. You might probably already notice that. Okay? Now here's something else worth noticing. It's y equals negative 9x plus 85. My y-intercept is 0, 85. Okay? That is not a coincidence. Okay, so in most cases, you're not going to be given a picture. So I'm taking the picture off the board. And I'm going to start from scratch. Okay? Without a picture. But I wanted you to see what it looked like, the connection. Okay, so I'd start with y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So, y minus 13 equals negative 9, x minus 8. So that'd be y minus 13 equals negative 9x plus 72. Add your 13 to get the y by itself. And y equals negative 9x plus 85. So that's A. That's the answer to A. B. Standard or general form. You want to get it in this form where the x term comes first, okay? X first, y second, a number last. Okay, so I want to get the 85 by its lonesome, so I'll add 9x to cancel. And I will put it in front of the y term. Done. I have 9x plus 1y equals 85. Okay, 9x plus 1y equals 85. All right? Finally, C. Okay, if you notice, you're going to need 3 terms and equals and a 0. So I left an extra space after the y. All I need to do is to get them looking like this is subtract the 85. So now I have 9x plus y minus 85 equals 0. And that's C, finished. All right? And that's the premise of what you would be doing. So let me go ahead and erase the board and I'll put up a second example. Example 2a. I apologize for that. Try to hold it, make it go a little steadier. Okay. I'm referring to a document off camera. I'm following a document off camera if you haven't noticed. Find equation of line through -2, -1, and 1, 5 in A. Slope intercept form. B. Standard form. Okay? All right. So we're going to need to remember, do. Slope equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All right, we're not given the slope, okay? So before we can do this, we got to find out what the slope is. All right, and that's the formula. So it's going to be 5 second y minus the first y over second x minus the first x. Like so. And that gives me 6 over 3, which is 2. So, if I do y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, you have to pick one point or the other. Okay? You can't mix and match. You got to pick one point or you use the other point. I choose this one because I'd rather deal with 2 positives than 2 negatives. Okay? I choose to use 1, 5. Okay, so it'd be y minus y coordinate is 5 equals slope is 2, x minus the x coordinate is 1. So, y minus 5 equals 2x minus 2. Add your 5, and we have y equals 2x plus 3. So A is done. Now I'll do B. Okay, I'm going for this form right here. All right, so I need to subtract the 2x. I want to get the 3 by itself, so I'll subtract the 2x. So I have negative 2x plus y equals 3. Okay? Or some authors would insist that this can't be negative. Okay? It can't be negative. That's what they'd say. So effectively what we'll do is divide by -1. All terms by -1. So that would give me, divide by -1, that's 2x. Divide by -1, that's -y. Divide by -1, that's -3. Okay? That's what some textbook authors would require. Okay? Now, example 2b. Find equation of line through -2, -1, and 1, 5 in slope. Oops, let me put those back up. Slope-intercept form, and B, standard form. Okay? Now, what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to show that it really doesn't matter which point you use. So, do m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, which is 5 minus -1 over 1 minus -2. And that is 6 over 3, which is 2. Again. Okay? And that's going to be y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. I choose -2, -1. All right, I wouldn't normally do that because I'd rather deal with 2 positives and 2 negatives, but let's say I choose to do that anyway. Well, it'd be y minus -1 equals 2 times x minus -2. I'm doing a double parentheses for that one. Okay, pair of parentheses for the negative coordinate, and then one from the formula. So that will be y plus 1 equals 2 times x plus 2 when I simplify this. So y plus 1 equals 2x plus 4. Subtract 1, and y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, a match with what we got before. Okay, B will give us the same outcome. So y equals 2x plus 3. Subtract your 2x, -2x plus y equals 3. Or, as before, if I divide by -1, divide by -1, divide by -1, 2x minus y equals -3. All right, so the point of example 2A and example 2B was to make it clear that it doesn't really matter which one point you use. You should still get the same answer. Okay? The same answers for the standardized forms. Okay, the 3 standardized forms. General, standard, or slope-intercept. All right, so I'm going to erase the board and I'm going to put up a third example. about that, folks. Okay, example 3. Find equation of line through -213 and h -9. A, in slope-intercept form, B, standard form, and C, the general form. The real general form. What's normally thought of as general form. Okay, so before we can get to these, we need to do this. So we have do. And we got to find the slope. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So -9 minus 13 over 8 minus -2. That gives me -22 over 10, which reduces as -11/5. All right. So y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So I choose. Now remember, we saw from the previous example it doesn't empirically matter which point you use. But I would prefer to subtract I would prefer to subtract a negative y coordinate outside another pair of parentheses than a positive x coordinate, a negative x coordinate within a pair of parentheses. Okay, so I choose 8 -9. Okay, it really doesn't matter which one you use, but it's a matter of what makes things easier for us. So it'll be y minus -9 equals -11/5 x minus 8. So that gives me y plus 9 equals -11/5 x. Okay, a negative times a negative is a plus. And when you're multiplying like this, folks, you'll take the whole number times the numerator and put it over the denominator. That's the simplest way to explain this. So I'll take 8 times 11, that's 88, and put it over the 5. All right. I need to subtract 9 from both sides. So I'll have y equals -11/5 x. Now this is where things get interesting. Okay? 9 over 1. That's what I'm looking at. 9 over 1. Now most scientific calculators will do the work for you. Okay? But we're going to pretend, but I don't have one handy, and I'm going to just go ahead and tell you what you need to do. You need a common denominator, 5. So, this gives me 45/5. That's what that means. So, 88/5 minus 88 minus, so basically, here's what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this intermediate step. So this will be y plus 9 equals negative 11 fifths x plus 88 fifths minus 45 fifths. These two are equivalent. All right? So this will give me y equals, when the y's cancel here, negative 11 fifths x. Okay, keep the denominator. So I'll have 88, take away 45, that's 43, that's positive 43, put it over 5. A is done. All right, next part, B. The LCD is 5. So I will have 5y equals 5 times negative 11 fifths x plus 5 times 43 fifths. Like so. That doesn't look very legible, so I'll rewrite it. Okay. So the 5's cancel here and here. So that leaves me 5y equals negative 11x plus 43. So since we're going for standard form, I need to get the non-variable integer by itself. So I'll just simply go ahead and add 11x to both sides. Put in the x term first, and I will simply have 11x plus 5y equals 43. So B is done. If I push this back a little bit, I should be able to fit C on here. C. (11x plus 5y equals 43). Now remember, the goal for parts for the what's normally considered general form involves 3 terms and a 0. So I went ahead and left an empty space here after the variables. I will subtract the 43, and I have 11x plus 5y minus 43 equals 0. And that, folks, gives me the 3 standardized forms. I've got slope-intercept, standard, and general. Okay? So let me go ahead and put all 3 of those in one convenient spot. Does that all fit? It does. A. So A is y equals negative 11 fifths x plus 43 fifths. A little blurry. B is 11x plus 5y equals 43, and C is 11x plus 5y minus 43 equals 0. And I'm done.